Hello traders and investors, I'm Ellie Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective, each day asking ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about the coming ones. This shows 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursdays, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's under the channel LA Little. As far as what happened today, let's start with the numbers here. We actually had a decent day to the upside. They continue to try and push overseas, that is, right? Decent day to the upside. Nikkei, HSI, you actually had it in Europe as well. Some pressure here domestically going into the Brexit numbers tomorrow, or actually the vote tomorrow. Oil pulls back a little bit, gold and silver just slightly higher. Dollar down almost 0.5%. So a lot of churn, but not a lot of traction either way. Market's been, kind of gathering steam, pushing itself up towards the highs here in front of the vote. Expectation is that that vote is going to be a no vote. That's the way it looks, and that's the way the market seems to be betting on it here. As far as the charts, let's take a look at those. And, contrary to popular belief last night, I actually did not get hit by a Mack truck at the end of the night. I was in a hurry, didn't have time to edit. I got an error in the Camtasia software that I use and was unable to recover from it, so we kind of like faded away at the end. Let's see if we can do a little bit better tonight. As far as what's going on here, volume dissipating. Look at what's happening here, right? You get the big spike up, can't hold, right? What happens the next 2 days? Inside that bar, right? I've talked about it before. The key area is this swing point high here, right? That's where it went into, and the bottom of this other one. So that's the key areas. That's what it's dealing with on the top side and on the bottom side, and I suspect that's what's going to have to break, and potentially on the Brexit news. If we look at the NDX doing the same sort of thing that we saw there with the S&P 500, and that is that we're trading inside that bar from 2 days back. So Monday's bar, you get a Tuesday, Wednesday inside of it, and noticeably weaker on that bar than you saw on the S&P 500. Looking at the Russell, same sort of thing. Small caps doing the same thing. So if we move over, the real key is going to be what happens with the vote in Europe and in Britain, actually, and how it affects Europe. And if we look at the banking sector, one key area that we can look at, the European banking sector, if we look at it, what we can see here once it redraws is we can see a big spike up, and then after that spike up, right, you're getting the pullback today. And so even though the European markets continued up, you started to get a pullback here, some volume increasing. This is the sector that's going to get hit depending on what happens. And, they're starting to hedge their bets. They got their big move up. They're starting to take some of their profits off of that and trying to position themselves for what could be potentially a yes vote, which would be kind of devastating for this sector. If you look at the sector on a weekly basis, you can see it's contained in a range. You had volume push at those lows. Typically, that means it's going to come back down there. With us coming to the end of the week here and the vote being taken place, I think we may see that area tested again, and certainly if it's a yes vote, we will see that tested. So no big clues there, but a little bit of hedging here, a little bit of concern, it looks like. If we move over to the currencies, the euro itself has been trying to push a little bit higher, but nothing major. The Japanese currency really stuck at the top up there, top of the range. And if we look at that British currency, right, we'd already had a huge move. Today we got a spike over the highs, and it closed back under it, but it had more volume as it did it. So you come into this area, you get over it, you come back under it. It says it can test again. So it looks to me like that currency is going to try and push higher again tomorrow. Again, suggesting that more than likely it's going to be a no, not a yes vote. So that's the way that looks. Is there anything in the overseas markets that gives us a tell? And if we look at the European markets to begin with, and actually in particular The DAX itself is, let's get this on the screen, and the DAX itself gets a little doji high. I would not be surprised to see some profit taking tomorrow. And so, what you're doing here is first of all, you broke down the swing point lows, so that becomes a bearish retest regenerate as you come back up. Well, it gets over both of them, and as it gets over them, right, it simply goes up to the prior swing point high that was broken, the big bar up here, these bars on this side. So if you look at these together, right, this kind of area here, that's where it traded to. And that's kind of the resistance area. I mean, that kind of makes sense as a resistance area. I suspect tomorrow, unless it's very clear, you're going to see some sort of a retrace in here in front of that vote. And if not, you're going to see it on the vote itself. So I think if they vote no, for example, you get another pop and then a drop. Because they've already priced it back in again. And so a pop drop, maybe a little carry through and then a drop. But I don't think this is going to break the European markets out of its range. The real thing that would break the markets out of the range in Europe is if it is a yes vote to exit. And so if we look here, that's the range it's in, right? You could pop up there and test that top. I suspect it's a sell if it does. If we get the vote, the yes vote to exit, the no vote to stay, right? If we get the yes vote to exit, this push down is probably going to come right back into that bar and potentially break it. So I think there's a lot of risk in the market on the downside. On the top side, probably not all that much. There is a good trade. I'm going to share that with members tomorrow. Probably put that trade on. I'm doing some live trading with those mentors. We're doing a crash course. We'll be looking at that trade tomorrow as well. And tomorrow night, I'll praise you as to how that went. But anyway, it looks to me like the expectation here is that the British are going to stay in the Union and no exit. And if that's true, I think you get a little bit more push to the upside by the end of the week. That's it for tonight. It looks like we got a little better taping here tonight, so I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Thanks for joining me. Take care, and good night.